Right, so here we are, a month later, and this is plant number one. Now, plant number one was the one that was affected by aphids. I stripped all the leaves off of it and pruned it a little bit. I don't normally prune them, and if you look at the previous videos, you'll see this was just bare branches with a few little shoots. For me, this is quite unusual. Normally these plants are pretty bleak looking throughout November, December, but yeah, having pruned this and having stripped all the leaves off of it to get rid of the aphids, it's now burst into life. So that's the growth over a month, so I'm quite happy with that. So prospects for that going forwards into December, into the spring rather, look quite promising. So there you go, that's plant number one. And as I said, December, they're usually branchless. What the reason is, why it's so different this year, no idea. Maybe it was the pruning, never pruned it before. Don't know, maybe it's because it's mild, but then it's indoors, so what does it matter? Light's been pretty poor through December. I'm a photography lecturer and I've really struggled to kind of teach students because the light's been really, really poor in December. So I don't think it's the light. So yeah, a bit baffled by this, but quite pleased. Yeah, going really, really well. So that's plant number one. Plant number two. Yeah, growing, lots of growth. Don't know where it's going. I suppose I could train this upwards, but I'm quite happy with it going across sideways, because the idea with these plants is they go across a wall. So this one's going sideways quite nicely, which I quite like. Yeah, not quite as vigorous as the other one. I don't know what the general, I'll have to look at more videos, but I think there's a point when you do prune them. I think it's after flowering, so I don't know if I've left this too late, so I might just let this go and see what happens. But yeah, a lot more growth than previous years. Bit spindly, but yeah. Some of these plants, I think this was one of the ones that was included, I almost threw away last year because they kind of did so badly. But yeah, the amount of growth there is quite a lot, so I'm quite happy with that. In terms of watering, what I've done so far is I'll probably water them once a week, and each plant probably gets around about 250ml, 300ml of water each time, and that's more than enough. The bigger plant, which I'll show you later on, kind of looked as though it had suffered from overwatering, but I've kind of starved that a little bit more, given that a lot less, and you'll see. Let's come back all right. So yeah, that's plant number two. So plant number three, again another one I almost threw away, and again grown really, really well. No flowers on this one, no bracts, but in terms of leaves, in terms of how it normally looks in December, massively different to the previous prior to December's. Normally they look scrawny, virtually no leaves. So again, lots and lots of growth, looks promising. What I might do is trim this one here. Other than that, yeah, that's going well as well. So happy with that one. Lots of growth, looks good for the prospects in the summer. But yeah, same sort of thing. 300ml of water every weekend I put in it. The leaves on the right hand side here, they look a bit veiny, which is That's an issue to an extent. But I'll just keep an eye on that. But other than that, yeah, looks nothing like the previous Decembers. Lots of leaves. No idea why, really. Yeah, pretty happy with that one as well. And the last one, the Barbara cast, plant number 4. Yeah, quite a lot of growth. Looks healthy. Yeah, kind of lots of this is all new, this is all new, this one here is new, this is new, so again that's doing quite well. That one did have the veiny leaves, but I've held back on the watering with that one a little bit, so that one's had a little bit less water than the others. Yeah, they're all doing fine. Probably mentioned it before, but all these plants at the beginning of last year in April, May, were all fed and repotted, I think. And then during that summer, they kind of didn't do so well and were a bit disappointing. So I think maybe it's a case that they've all kind of settled down and that they're now drawing in the nutrients and they've settled in the pots and the roots have settled, and so they're all kind of doing quite well. But again, as I said, I've never seen it like this in December. Usually all the leaves are lost, sort of like 90%, maybe even 100% leaf loss, and then they burst into life usually kind of February time, if I remember rightly. But yeah, this time of year they're depleted of leaves. So again, yeah, it looks promising, looks good. That's my plant that I want to do the best. That's the one I'm expecting to grow really vigorously. So it's going to be interesting to see if this growth spurt carries on. No sign of any bracts, just all green leaf growth, which sometimes is an indication that there's too much nitrogen apparently. If you put too much nitrogen into the earth, they grow green leaves rather than the bracts, as far as I can recall. You might want to fact check that, but yeah. So that one's going on. So the thing is, they say that these plants in places like South America grow in depleted, rough, horrible places where other plants don't survive. These plants do survive. So it's a bit strange that maybe we overdo it, I'm not sure. Yeah, they survive in really arid, poor earth conditions, but yeah, you don't want them to die, so there's a kind of a bit of conundrum deciding what you should do, whether you should kind of starve them of food or make it more like that South American scenario. But there's so many differences of opinions. So, as I said, I've fed these lots of nutrients, lots of stuff with nitrogen and phosphate. I think it's phosphate. That's how they're doing, coming up to 8 or 9 months later. So that's number 4. We'll see you again in a month's time to see what's happened, whether they kept growing, whether they produced bracts, or whether they've died off again. Anyway, see you in a month for another update. Just in terms of where they are, just in terms of where they're kept, so that massive great big ceiling skylight there I've got, they sit along that balcony, the other side of the balcony there, or the number 1 plant sits on top, but the others are down the other side of that balcony, so there's a fair bit of light, but that's where they're kept. And they're up above a radiator there, so they're kind of warm. I'm not right on top of the radiator, but they've kind of got a fair bit of light. But as I said, this year there's not been a lot of light. Anyway, that's it for this month. See you again at the end of January for another update. Bye.